I want you to imagine that your manager at Microsoft walked up behind you and just handed you $70,000 of cash in an envelope. Now, when you receive your stock awards, it's essentially the same thing, but instead of being handed an envelope full of cash, you're handed $70,000 of shares of Microsoft stock. From a tax perspective, there is no difference between you receiving $70,000 of Microsoft stock and you receiving $70,000 of cash or just normal regular income. Because of that, we always ask the question, if you were handed cash, what would you do with those shares? Would you save for a down payment on a second home? Would you pay off debt? Would you save for your kid's college account? Would you diversify into 13,000 different companies from around the world? Or would you take every single penny of that cash that you received and just buy Microsoft stock, right? My guess is that that's not your answer. My guess is that you would do something else with that cash. And so because of that, and the fact that from a tax perspective, there is no difference between the two, we always encourage folks to sell those shares as they vest. Most people at Microsoft have shares that are vesting at the end of November. And so as you're reaching the end of the year, the start of next year, some things to be thinking about: what are you doing with those RSUs? And really, what's your strategy on a go-forward basis? Are you selling these shares as they vest? Are you making sure that you're not too concentrated in Microsoft stock? I run into way too many people that have anywhere from $300,000 to $1.2 million of Microsoft stock. And how do they do this, right? It's not that they just go out and decide to buy a bunch of Microsoft stock. No, they work for Microsoft. They have stock grants that vest every single quarter, and those stock grants pile up year over year over year, and Microsoft stock does really well. And all of a sudden, they wake up one day and they have, again, $300,000 to $1.2 million of Microsoft stock. More often than not, this represents an outsized portion of their overall investment picture, right? More often than not, this is like 20, 30, 40, 50% of their investable net worth. Now, it rarely ends well when somebody has over 20% of their investable net worth in one company. You think about the risk associated with it, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm a Seattle guy. I love Microsoft, and Microsoft has been an unbelievable company to invest in over the last, call it 25 plus years, right? But at the same time, if you work for Microsoft, not only do you have the risk associated with all of this investment in one company, but it's also your living, it's also your paycheck, right? All too often, I mean, I've seen situations where Amazon stock drops 50% and, both members of a household get laid off on the same day. We just don't want to take that much risk. And it's so easy to de-risk, at least on a go-forward basis, by selling these RSUs as they vest, selling these stock grants as they vest. It's the academic approach.